Ronnie Simmons, my man.
Hey man, thanks for having me, dude.
Thanks for coming on and driving all the way from Newtown to like hang out with me for an hour or so, dude.
It's all good, man. I got to, driving around Newtown's not as much fun as taking it out on the freeway. I got to fire up the Ford Falcon and fly down, so it was good.
Yeah, and it's your first time in Wollongong?
No, I'm very familiar with the gong. Got lots of good mates. Actually, one of my mates who's like a big brother is a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
We're catching up after this. He lives around the corner.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I figure while I'm down here, why not?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And your drummer, Chip.
Yeah.
He's Wollongong boy as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Mick Arnold, that's the other guitarist in the Tats, is in Dapto.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, there's a Wollongong connection with,
Yeah, right.
with everything.
So, dude, your self-titled EP.
Yeah, Bite Part 1 came out last week. Yeah.
Yes. A lot of good albums came out that time too. Yours came out, Body Count, Ice-T, and Marilyn Manson all came out at the same time as when you're releasing your debut EP.
Yeah, it seems that time of year.
Yeah, it's crazy. But dude, it's a banger fucking EP. I was going to say album, but it's only like 6 tracks, which is an EP. Correct?
Yeah. So no, it's an EP.
Yeah. But it's such a banger EP, dude. Because like when I listen to like full length albums, sometimes I listen to like first few tracks and then I stop and then maybe I skip.
Yeah.
But with this, you can just from start to finish.
Thanks, man.
You can just fully just
That's kind of what I've been going for. And then with Bite Part 2, it's going to be similar for next year. I wanted something that's just, straight to the point that, for example, if you're driving in the car, you're not going to be inclined to hit skip. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, the good thing about this EP as well, it has a bit of everything from punk rock, a bit of ska influence.
Yeah.
In it, and a bit of classic rock involved as well.
Yeah, and that's because the concept started as an album, and then I kind of went, like, I'm going to start with Part 1 and then do Part 2 next year. The whole record's like that. Like when it was done, there's been a lot of me sitting here going, I don't know what box you could put this in.
Yeah.
So I just say it's too rock to be punk and too punk to be rock.
Yeah. But Richie Ramone.
Yep.
Played drums.
Yep.
On Little Misunderstood.
Little Misunderstood, and a handful of other tracks that are coming as well.
In the next one?
Yep.
Awesome.
The drums on the record were split between Richie Ramone and Chris Moy.
Yep.
May he rest in peace, who was also Richie's drummer and a good friend. And yeah, they did the drums. Johnny Martin did the bass. Backing vocals on Part 1 were done by Scott Chirilla, that was in Reverend Horton Heat and the Super Suckers. Danny Nordahl from Faster Pussycat.
Yep.
My friend Rachel Baxter did the backing vocals on Eaten Alive. And then on Part 2, there's a guest by Frankie Clark from Frankie and the Studs.
Yeah.
And Ezra Lee, who was supporting the Tats. He played some boogie woogie piano on a track that's coming on the next part. So,
very nice.
And anyone else I've forgotten, I'm sorry. Having
those big names in there, man, that's probably like a dream come true for you as a musician.
Yeah, it definitely means a lot to me. Like especially growing up such a Ramones fan, to have one of the brothers playing on songs that I wrote in my bedroom is crazy.
Yeah.
But throughout the process, though, it was and working with Clay Davies that engineered and mixed it and Bullets and Octane. Everyone's a good mate of mine. Like everyone that appears on the record, I've had a connection working with in some way, shape, or form over the years. So it was really cool when I brought this concept, going, I want to make this record and record these songs.
Yeah.
That people just stepped up and were like, like Johnny Martin said, the main reason I'm involved is for the integrity of the songs.
Yeah.
Like I dig what you've written and I want them to come out as best as they possibly can. And that really means a lot to me.
You really turn up the bass on friggin' the first single.
Yeah.
I Want to Be Alone With You.
Yeah.
Alone With You, sorry. You could definitely hear that bass, dude.
Yeah.
Like, did you crank that up to 11 or like?
We just went in and just like we would live, we used amps. We used like all the guitars were done with a Marshall JMP and my Solo Dallas SD50.
Yeah.
We had an Ampeg in the studio for the bass tracks. It was like and live drum. It was a real old school approach, and that was something I was conscious of. Like I didn't want something that sounded processed. I wanted something that is as authentic and old school as I could make it.
Yeah. So how did you get the band together? Like how did that all started?
With the live band, the Redback Spiders,
or
or
the
the studio.
studio?
That came about where, like, in 2022, I was touring with both Pussycat and Richie Ramone, like, the whole year.
Yeah.
So, like, I spent, I think a total of 3 weeks in my own bed for the whole year. That was it.
Yeah.
I was gone that much.
Yeah.
And I had the songs demoed on my laptop. Like, I'd kind of planned it all out because I wanted to go in and do this, but I knew I'd only have a short pocket of time. So when I had an opening in my schedule, I'd already floated the concept past Clay, and he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And I was in a bar one night with Richie. Like, I think we just got back from doing a run, and we were in Hollywood, and went to a gig. And I said, "I'm going in to do these songs," and he went, "I'll play drums." And I went, "Really?" He's like, "Hell yeah, man!"
Yeah.
So, that's how it came about. And then when we realized there's a lot of songs, it was like, because Chris Moy and I were roomies on the road with Richie Ramone. We'd always share hotel rooms everywhere, so we got to know each other really, really well.
Yeah.
So then we just decided, Richie would do some, he'd do the rest, and it sadly turned out to be the last thing Chris had ever play on.
Yeah.
So that's why I did the tribute to him at the end of Alone With You, because it also ties in, because, like, lyrically it's about missing someone while you're on the road. Sharing a room with him, I never met anyone that was more involved, and, well, Beyonce, they were meant to get married, but a good partner to his partner than Chris. Like, they'd always be on FaceTime and always talking. So I thought that was kind of unintentionally poetic as well.
Yeah.
Because it's like, like he would have dug that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The video clip to Alone With You was filmed in Sydney.
Yeah, on a boat in the harbour. Yeah.
Yeah. What made you want to do that? Because it kind of reminded me a bit of like the AC/DC Long Way to the Top of the Roof, If You Want to Rock and Roll.
Yeah, definitely.
So was it kind of like, did you want to do something like that?
So yeah, something similar, but having been over in, like, I was based in the States for basically a decade.
Yeah.
I wanted to show that not only I'm Australian, but I'm a Sydney boy.
Yes.
I came back when I got the gig in the Tats, and I'm based here now. Excuse me. And kind of wanted to show the world, this is where I'm from.
Yeah.
And as well as, perform the song as well, that, it ties in with the lyrics, because, Back to the Land of Dreams.
Yeah.
It's I got to go. It's about, I got to go back to, LA, or, I got to go back here. I've always got to be on the go somewhere. But Sydney was always in the back of my mind and my heart.
Yeah.
So that was another tie-in as well. It's like, I haven't forgotten about you. Like, I still love you.
Yeah, well, you were like born and raised there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's it. So it was kind of like, an ultimate homecoming.
Yeah.
Plus, it looks fucking cool.
It does, yeah. And like, you did like a release party as well there too.
Yeah, we did.
Spot.
Yeah, we did the launch on the exact same ship.
Yeah.
So when the single dropped, we went out on the harbour and had a bunch of cool local bands, and just literally what we did in the clip, we did on the night that night, and everyone played, and the turnout was great, and we had a great time. So Simo's Dive on the Water on Cadman Cruises.
Yeah.
That's the venue, and they do gigs as well.
Man.
Yeah, really, really, really cool people.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Tell us the story about your music career and how you got all started, for the people that may not know who you are,
that's
because
a long story.
Yeah, well, you can keep it short, because like you have an interesting like music like journey.
Yeah. I'll move through it as quickly as I can. Like, basically, I started off at like 12 years old, busking on King Street in Newtown. Like, I didn't have a band. I didn't even know anyone else that was into the music I was into. So I'd sit on the side of the road after school with a beat up acoustic guitar, singing like AC/DC, Kiss, Ramones, Rosetattoo, Sex Pistol songs. And I'd use the money to buy more records to then learn those songs. Throughout the process, met some guys on the street that were like, hey, we want to put a band together.
Yeah.
So then, bang, I started playing in the pubs. I was 15. So I started gigging around the pubs. And my first gig was at the Town and Country Hotel, from the famous Slim Dusty song. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. And that was in 2004. And then after that, I just kept going and, cutting my teeth and learning my chops. And, that first band I had called the Skanks, that was a very Ramones kind of band. The drummer was actually Cindy Sin, the artist that does all the artwork around Australia. Yeah, Cindy was the drummer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we were like that.
That's
like
sick.
I was 15, he was 16. And that was the band. And then that evolved into a band called Lust.
Yep.
We toured with like the Screaming Jets, the Party Boys, and Angry and Swanee were singing. So that's how I basically got to know Angry pretty well. And, you know, we toured with Ace Frehley. That's how I met Todd Youth, that, you know, later I'd work with in LA.
Yeah.
And over enough time, you know, the band ended up just kind of hitting the glass ceiling and then fizzling out. And I kind of went, well, I want to go international. I'm not stopping here.
Yeah.
So, you know, I went to Germany and I worked with a German singer called Lutz Vegas in a band called Autobahn Outlaw that Steve King played bass on the record.
Yep.
And then after that, I got hired by The Art that took me to Hollywood, and we toured with Faster Pussycat all across the US and Europe.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, then the plan was to relocate to LA, which I did. And then after that, it was just band to band. Like the offers started flying at me, and, you know,
the gates was open.
Yeah, the floodgates just opened. And then
Yeah.
10 years later, it's like, you know, now I've worked with Faster Pussycat, Richie Ramone from the Ramones. I'm now the guitarist in Rosetattoo.
Yeah.
And in the process, I've been writing songs this whole time.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to do my own thing, but was conscious of, you know, this is my bread and butter. It's my job.
Yeah.
So finally found a time to go, you know, it's now or never. I'm going to put this out. So recorded the record, got the gig with Rosetattoo, came back to Australia, and have been touring with them, and in the process getting the record that came out last week, Ronnie Simmons and the Redback Spiders, like part 1, and now it's out. Yeah.
The name itself, it's like very Aussie.
Yeah, I was going for that.
Yeah. But out of all the like the artists that you worked with over the years, what's the best advice you got from them?
Stay focused and be true to yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it's self-evident. Practice. Like, you know, you're going to get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah.
Treat it like a job. Like, you don't want it to feel like a job or a chore, but if you treat it like with a work ethic, like, you might not be able to outplay other people, but you can definitely outwork them. Yeah. So, and do it because you love it. Like, you know, make sure you're in it for the right reasons. And I don't know, like as far as the music industry is concerned, just don't be weird and don't be a dick. Like, you know, treat people the way you'd like to be treated.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you say you're going to do something, do it. And it's kind of as simple as that. And have a damn good time doing it. Because if it, you know, if you're not enjoying it, like,
then get out of it.
Then get out. Like, that's one of the most, you know, one of the most important things that's going to keep you going is your morale, and, you know.
And it's a full-time job.
Yeah, it is. It's a 24-hour job. Like, especially now, because we have, like, where the Redback Spiders are with Suburban Records, so they're in the Netherlands.
Oh, right.
I was based in the US, so I've got a lot of contacts over there, and I'm in Australia. I'm working 3 time zones, so I'm exhausted. So it's like, you know, early in the morning, America's awake, and then Australia's awake, and then as the sun goes down and it's ready for bed, Europe's awake.
Yeah.
So I'm running on fumes right now, but it's and a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
But if you love it and it's what you want to do, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you see the Redback Spiders go internationally?
I want to. I definitely want to, and there's been such a positive reaction online already.
Yeah.
That I think over time that, you know, the demand could definitely be there, but I have to be very, very realistic and careful with my decisions, because international touring, like, especially now more than ever, the world is very expensive.
It is.
And I don't want to, you know, cut my nose to spite my face by, you know, rushing to go tour, because there's so many options with my journey over the years where I could go to South America, I could go to North America, I could go to Europe, I could go to the UK, you know, and I want to hit all of it. But, you know, things like music videos cost money.
Yes.
You know, recording, because the Redback Spiders is all 100% out of my pocket and on my back. It's independent. I own everything myself.
Yeah.
And, you know, and Suburban Records that put the deal forward, it was a good deal. Like, I wouldn't have signed it otherwise. But they're also good friends of mine, and that they share the same vision. But having said that, like, as far as going overseas is concerned, and I have a commitment to Rosetattoo. Like, I'm a member of Rosetattoo, and that is, you know, they're my utmost priority.
Because you're on and off of the band as well too, correct?
What do you mean?
Well, yeah, you were. So how long you been with Rosetattoo now?
I've been a band member since, I think, February of 2023.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I've been a full-time band member since the start of last year.
Yeah, right.
Well, I got up and played with them in 2013.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I played with them. I was one of the few guests to get up. I think the other was Billy Thorpe.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That I can recall.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I went to the States, and the band got put on a hiatus. But that's what I always wanted to do. So when the
Yeah.
opportunity came back up again, of course, I just grabbed onto it, and I want to be there until the very end. So that also, puts me in an interesting position with the Redback Spiders, because next year is going to be a really busy year with rosetattoo. So it's kind of a matter of getting their schedule and then finding out where around that I can fit the Redback Spiders to keep pushing forward.
Yep.
But I'm also no stranger to that. Like, I juggled being in, Richie, Ramone, and Faster Pussycat, and Frankie and the Studs.
Yeah.
Up until I came back. So it's, it's a blessing and a curse. Like, it's a good problem to have, but there is only one of me, and I can only be in one place at one time.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to overdo yourself.
Exactly.
And especially in the industry like that. But like the live band, how did you guys how did you get that band all together?
That's a good question. Hayden McGoogan and Sean Anderson, that are both on guitar, we go way back. I've known those kids since they were in high school. I met them when my band Lust was touring with Ace Frehley in 2010.
Oh wow!
And I was
that what tour was that one?
Anomaly.
Oh yeah, I did you play at the Metro?
I did the Enmore.
The Enmore, because I was trying to. Because I know Ace really played at the Metro Theatre, and I think
I think that was the one after the tour I did. We did like the Enmore Theatre, the Tivoli in Brisbane,
the
Palace in Melbourne, and we did Adelaide and Perth as well. But anyway, so I met them then, and that's how long we've kept. I was like, man, these guys are great. They get it. Like their head and their heart are definitely in the same lane as myself, and we became friends.
Yeah.
And so I went to the States, and when I got back, it wasn't too long before I was like, when I'm putting this stuff out, I had kind of two options. Like, I could put it out digitally as like a solo record and then just release it online, but I want to play live. Like, that's the kind of, a big part of this genre, especially, rock and roll and hard rock and punk, is it's live music.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to tour it, and that's what I've been doing. Like, we got back, we did Sydney, Penrith, and Brisbane on the weekend, and just got back the other day, and then we're off to Bendigo and Melbourne this weekend.
Yeah.
And so there on guitar, I got Chip Scanu on drums.
Amazing drummer.
Phenomenal drummer, and a really good dude. Yeah,
he is. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's a really good bloke. And Tommy Hills, that's on bass. He's the youngest. Like, he's barely 21, but yeah, but and we met. I think I was overseas in the States doing my thing, and this is the positive side to social media, is that you can now connect with like-minded people. Like, there's a lot of negative aspects of it, but that's a positive. And I was looking to put the band together, and he put his hand up, and I was like, "You're fucking great!" Like, he can play, man. Like, like Johnny Martin played all the bass on the record, and I'm really grateful and proud that he did, because Johnny's one of my favorite bass players on the planet. We've worked together a lot, and I've got nothing but respect and gratitude for that. But Tommy, he's pulling off the parts well.
Yeah.
And and that's because he's so like all the guys in the Redback Spiders, they're so dedicated, they're so focused, and that's why they're in the band.
Yeah.
It was so it's an interesting position to be in, having these people that played on the record, the guys doing it live. I'm in rosetattoo, but I'm also this on the side. But the bottom line is, well, I'm not going to not do it.
Yeah.
Like, I have to move forward and figure out the most realistic and respectful way to do so, and that's just what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys are fucking killing it, dude. Like,
thanks.
How's the live shows going? Like, how's the crowd reacting to it?
Really, really good. We got new shirts made because the band name came about. Yeah. Was because I was like, I could have just called it Ronnie Simmons, and I was like, Ronnie Simmons and I want a band name that says we're not here to fuck spiders.
I saw that, yeah.
And then it was like I paused, and I was like, spiders, Redback Spiders.
Yeah.
Jumped on Google. I'm like, it hasn't been done.
Yeah.
Mine. And then later down the track, someone pointed out, it's like, Redback Spiders and Ronnie Simmons are the same initials. I went, oh, son of a bitch. That's
It's yours now.
yeah. I was like, so that was a bit. We got shirts made that have the spider on the front, but on the back it says "Not here to fuck spiders."
Yeah.
We sold out in the first weekend.
Holy shit.
Yeah, 2 nights, bang, gone. I had to. Coincidentally, there's a company called Screen Feeder that are based here in Wollongong.
Okay.
And the guys that run it, Maddie was the guitarist in Lust for a brief minute.
Yeah.
We're going back in time, 2007.
Yeah.
That's so he runs a screen printing company and he's been doing our shirts. So it's like I'm messaging him from Brisbane, like, we sold out, like we need more. So I got new ones arriving to my place back in Newtown now, so we can sell more because they're going. But the show's great. Like we did the Factory Theatre in Sydney, and then
I've never been there.
I played there. It's a great room, big room, really big room, great PA.
Yeah.
Like I played there with Faster Pussycat with Glamfest. That was my last show with them before I jumped over to the Tats. And then we did Penrith Panthers, and that was interesting because it was a seated theatre. So
I think I might have seen like
but the shows were great. It's like because the first shows the Redback Spiders did was just local pub shows. It was more a matter of like I learnt that over the years as a guitarist. A gig's worth 1,000 rehearsals.
Yep.
Like you can practice and practice and practice, which you should do, but you're only going to really get better being in front of people. So that was my attitude to adapting to being a frontman singer was, well, the more I do it, the better I'm going to get at it.
Yeah.
And so to take the show onto a big stage for the first time, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But Penrith was definitely interesting, to be running around basically screaming in people's faces while they're sitting there like they're watching a movie.
Yeah.
And I'm up there going like, I hope this is landing.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, people are like, oh, that was great. And I'm like, reminding myself, it's like these are brand new songs for them. It's a brand new band.
Yeah.
If they're sitting there just staring, they're taking it in. Like if they get up and walk away, that's when you have something to worry about.
Yeah, there's something wrong going on.
Yeah.
I think it was like that when Alice Cooper played at the Enmore.
Yeah, that's seated. Yeah, I've seen him at the Enmore a couple of times. Actually.
Yeah. I think the last time I saw him was at the Motley Crue tour.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That the farewell.
Yeah, I did the US leg of that, and then they came here. Yeah, that would have been cool to do. But
I thought that maybe the Radskins, because you played for them.
I
thought they might have came to Australia.
Yeah,
I knew your name from that, and like, this dude's a fucking badass. I think that's to Australia.
Yeah, well, I was hoping that too, because that was the first tour me and Johnny Martin did together, because we were both stage left, but we were there as hired guns. Like we weren't like the band was the brothers. We were hired to be there. Yeah. So when people were asking me that, I'm like, dude, I know as much as you do. I'm just I just play guitar, man.
Yeah, I'm just here to play guitar and rock out.
Exactly. So that would have been cool, but
But like you also like hung out with the band.
Oh yeah, like me and like that tour is where me and Tommy Henriksen and Ryan Roxy and Nita Strauss and Chuck and Glenn, like they were the most social. Like I'd see Nicky at like catering, and he was very hands-on with the tour. But as far as like Tommy, Mick, and Vince, it was scarce to see them. Like every time I did, they were great. They were like, hey, how's it going? But Nicky was the one you'd see like basically every day.
Yeah.
But as far as socially is concerned, I'd spend most of my time, me and Johnny would be hanging with the Alice Cooper guys.
Yeah.
Like it was after a show, like, Ryan and Nita would be like, hey, we're going to go, hang in this bar and watch a football game. Do you want to come? And, me and Ryan would sit there talking about like, the Divinals and Aussie Rock and Rosetattoo. Like,
they're very easy people to get along with.
Yeah, they're really, really, like all of them, the whole band, they were really, really cool.
Even Chuck Garrick, I had him and Calico on here.
Yeah, they're great.
And I was a little nervous at first because like I was just a big fan of Alice Cooper and the band. And but when I had them on, it's just like this now. We're just hanging out. And like Calico's personality is fucking hilarious.
She's such a good performer and such a cool chick.
Yeah.
Like as I was saying earlier, like when we were driving back from Brisbane, like I was showing the Redback Spiders guys Beasto Blanco, because it's like Brisbane to Sydney is like 11-hour, 12-hour drive or something. So I did, the big chunk of it back, and I was like, I needed driving music.
Yeah.
I call it live fast, die loud. I call that
Yes.
album music to get speeding tickets to, because it's just like fucking I love it.
Yeah. Have you heard the new stuff?
Yeah, hell
Fucking
yeah, man.
amazing, dude.
I love everything they've put out. Like when they came out on the recent tour, the Goon Squad did a show at Crowbar in Sydney.
I saw that,
and I got up
socials.
and I got up and sung Nice Boys with them, and Chuck was, he gave me a card that linked me to the new stuff. I was like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
But, they're just all really, really good people.
Yeah, they I know like Brother Latham and that follows me on Instagram, but like I've been posting like me covering Beasto songs on guitar on Instagram.
Yeah,
and they fucking love it. And I'll be getting like they were like reposting, and they'll be like, "Dude, we really love what you're doing." I'm like, you sure? I'm sorry for butchering them, but like, and that. But I'm like, nah, man. It's like whatever whatever we're doing with our music, for having you to like covering these songs, it means a lot to us, man. I'm like,
it's definitely like I've had a few. Exactly. I've had a few people, yourself included, and it's like, I'm never gonna go like, oh, what the hell, like that chord's wrong. I'm like, man, you took the time to do this. That's awesome.
Well,
like,
I did learn alone with you like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, mad.
And stuff like that. But yeah, dude. But let's talk about your gear, because I know you have a pedal.
Yes, the Mostronics RTS1 Blood and Thunder, my signature distortion pedal.
What made you want to make your own distortion pedal?
They offered.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was one of those things that Andrew, that runs the company out of Melbourne, they're hand wired in Australia, which I love, and we've been in touch for a few years now. And he'd been sending me pedals like, hey, check this out, hey, check this out. And I, over the years, the more time that's gone on as a guitarist, my setup's gotten smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Like,
the best way.
There's less is more.
Yep.
And because there are certain gigs I did in the past where I had to have like multiple effects. So it's one of those things, if I don't have to, it's one less thing to worry about. And the less in the chain, the bigger the sound.
Yeah.
And there were these two, and I said to him, he goes, how do you feel about the one I sent you? And I was like, I love it, but I also use this. It'd be great if we could put them into one unit with two switches. And he goes, why don't we do a signature Ronnie Simmons pedal? And it's like, who's going to say no to that?
Yeah, and you sold out of them too, didn't you?
Yeah, right. Yeah, the first batch with the pre-sale, we sold out, and there's more that have been made up that I've been sent up from Melbourne. But if you go to ronnie-simmons.com, and that'll take you to the online store.
Mad.
And they're in a handful of guitar shops around Australia right now. But
it's even better.
Yeah, like that got launched the same day I launched the Alone With You video and single. So there's been a lot going on, and there's so much for me to promote and push.
Yeah.
I can't help but kind of blasting people, but I definitely, if you're a guitarist out there, like, please, it's worth checking out.
Yeah, I saw your demos on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I love it, and it's what I use live with Rosetattoo. Like, that's how it kind of came about. Was the prototype was, I came up with the concept for me. I was like, I want something that can do this, and then he went, well, if you can design the artwork or whatnot, and we can sell them, and we structured a deal, and I went, that sounds great. So they're available, and they ship worldwide.
Yeah.
So yeah. The Blood and Thunder RTS1 Mostronics.
And if you plug in through a Marshall, you'll sound like Ronnie Simmons.
Yeah. yeah. I got that, and I run that into my Solo Dallas ST50.
Yep.
Which is basically a hand-wired replica of Malcolm Young's JTM 45.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Solo Dallas, like, they're Phil and Donnie that run the company, are AC/DC, Rosetattoo, Aussie rock fanatics. And I discovered it out at NAMM one year.
Yeah.
And like, I just hit an A chord, and I went, I have to have this amp. It's like, it's like instant, we can't be beaten. I was just like, that's the sound.
Very classic rockish.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it's very, it's just very one lane, just go.
Yeah.
But for that sound, I run the Mostronics RTS1 into that, and with my Les Paul and my SG and a tuner, and that's it. And that's what I use live.
Yeah, simple, man. Very, very simple. I learn a lot from buying a shit ton of pedals to having just like 3.
Yeah.
Including a drop tuner.
Oh, right.
They're great too.
Yeah.
If you go all the way down to the last setting, it has like an octave fuzz. Yeah, dude, it's so rad.
Yeah.
So good. But I do have like a Marshall DSL 40.
Nice.
40? Yeah, it's just this one.
Yeah. Well, the DSLs are what I'd use like for fast Pussycat fly-ins.
They're
like,
great.
Yeah, if I had to, like, what amp do you want? Especially, for the songs that like House of Pain that have a clean setting, and like having those two settings helped. But yeah, they're good amps, man.
No,
and don't get me wrong, like I've got a box full of you name the effect, I probably have it.
Yeah.
And if I ever need it,
it's there.
It's there. But as for this style of music live, it's like if I don't need to run back to my pedal and tap on something, I'll avoid doing it.
Yeah. Have you heard of those Spark amps?
No.
By Positive Grid. It's like a smart amp. It's like a Bluetooth amp. So I've got one, and you download the app, Spark amp, onto your phone, and you Bluetooth it to the speaker, and it's got like over like 1,000 tones and amps.
Wow.
So it's got like sort of like copycats of like old school Marshalls,
right,
and Orange cabinets.
So it's like the phone version of like a Line 6 used to be.
Yeah, but it's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah?
I've got one. Yeah,
Oh,
I use it a lot more than that because I don't get noise complaints.
Well, that is one thing about my gear is like it's fucking loud. Like no matter where I've lived, like neighbors.
You're a very old school person, though. That's what I like about it.
Thanks, man.
Because most people now are using modelers and
which
is cool too.
I've never used one live. I've used a couple in the studio. It's like horses for courses if that's what people want to do. But for me personally, the amp's as much a part of the show as everything else. Like when I see a speaker cabinet but no head on it, it's like there's something missing.
Yeah,
like that's what I like about. I like moving air.
Oh yeah.
I like the reason those classic records sound the way they do is because that was the gear they were using.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that people shouldn't do it that way, but I'm just saying that's why I do it the way I do.
Yeah, I asked Sam Bam the same question as well. Like, do you prefer digital or like real amps?
Yeah,
yes, real amps.
Yeah, of course.
But then you have like the newer guitar players today that would prefer digitally amps, the modelers and stuff like that. And then they've never played a real amp in their life. But until you plug it in and feel like the real.
Well, and it's reactive. It's like certain things, like even the direction you point the pickups in, the guitar, there's hum, there's this, like the attack of the pick hitting the strings, how your fingers move. That's part of learning how to play just as much as, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, like, doing your scales and whatnot. Like, that in itself is a part of it. And I think it's important to know. But well, if you're playing rock anyway, it's like, they're the foundations that built this genre.
Yeah.
So, that's where my head's at anyway.
Yeah. I've only bought a Marshall because of Ace Frehley. That's the reason why I play Les Pauls too.
Yeah.
He was my idol growing up, and I'm sure it was your idol growing up.
Yeah. Like the first vinyl I ever got was the 78 solo album.
Yeah.
When I was like 12 years old.
It's the best one.
The first album I ever got was the Blues Brothers soundtrack. I got it on I got it on cassette when I was a little kid. But the first vinyl I got was Ace Frehley's 78 solo album.
Yeah.
I wish I still had that. Like I think
you don't have it?
No, I think my copy of it, I was a teenager. I remember when it happened, I was fucking pissed off too. The copy, you know what Australia's like in the summer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it got accidentally left near a window or something. I remember taking it out and it was like so I put it between two sheets of glass and tried to fix it. And this is going back in time, like, over 20 years. So I don't know where it is now, but that album definitely changed me as a guitar player. Definitely.
Yeah, same with Alice Cooper's School's Out.
Yeah.
Did it for me. That's why I got the School's Out tattoo.
Yeah, right on, man.
First tattoo, first riff I tried to play on guitar.
Yeah, awesome.
And stuff like that. But Love It to Death and The Eyes of Alice Cooper are two of my favorite albums. Yeah. As for Kiss, anything from maybe the first 3 or 4 albums did it for me. Then after that, I kind of went a little bit downhill.
Yeah, Alive was the one that really knocked my socks off.
Alive and Alive 2, which I was listening to the other day.
Yeah, like I remember I would have been like 13 when I heard Alive and just went. And it's a funny thing, like, because Kiss is such a visual band. I got into them musically before even knowing what they really looked like.
Yeah, right.
Like, obviously, because they are such a big part of pop culture. Like I knew the faces and whatnot, and I had the record cover, but I didn't, you know, I remember back then like going to Civic Video in Newtown, which is now a nightclub, I think. But like the video store and just, you know, trying to find documentaries or concerts. It was, you know, around 2001, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
And, you know, but the listening to a live, like it was like being hit by a bolt of lightning. Like I was like, oh my God. Then I discovered what they look like, and it was like, oh fuck. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it was like I was, you know, I was sold before that, which, you know, especially because, you know, they started in like what 74 and this is 2001.
Yeah.
But so it's like almost like how did you not know what they looked like? But that's the truth of, you know, how I got into it.
So for me, it was I Was Made for Loving You.
Right. The big hit.
Yeah, the disco hit that
Yeah.
I think it was like the #1 hit in Australia at the time.
Oh,
That and Shandy.
Yeah. Well, and like I remember when we did the tour, like they were sound. It became an ongoing joke on the 2010 tour because they'd always sound check with "Talk to Me,"
Man.
and they only did that in Australia because that was a really big hit here.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think it was Scott Coogan. He came up after soundcheck in Perth and was like, "Is this sounding all right? Like, this is the first time we played it." I'm like, "I fucking love that song, man." And he's like, "You Australians really like that Unmasked album, hey?" And I was like,
"It was a popular album."
Yeah, it was. You know, I like Unmasked and Dynasty just as much as I love Dress to Kill, Rock. It's I dig it all.
Yeah.
Like
even the non-makeup stuff too. Like
Revenge is a fucking mad album, dude. Like that album kicks ass.
Yeah,
but, yeah, I dig it all.
Yeah, I'm the same. Did you go and catch them in the last tour?
I didn't actually. I really wanted to. I can't remember why.
My brother
I might have been doing something in the studio that night. That year's a bit of a blur. It was just so busy.
Yeah. It was for me as well because with work. But
yeah,
my brother went. He loved it.
Yeah.
A few of my mates went, but then I said to them, if they're saying it's the final farewell, why? Like I know that they just play hits.
Yeah.
But what they should have done, in my opinion, since they got a large catalog of music,
like done a journey through the years.
Yeah, they could have done maybe like 1 or 2 songs from each album.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like what we've been doing with rosetattoo because Angry's announced that 2026 is the end of the band.
Yeah.
So they're retiring at 50 years. Like
wow.
The first tour I did, we did Assault and Battery. So we did the whole Assault and Battery album.
Yeah.
And then after that was the Southern Stars. We did the Southern Stars record.
Yeah.
So, you know, for what next year holds, you'll have to wait and see. But it's an elephant in the room with bands like Kiss and Aerosmith.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're hanging up the gloves because, you know, they're getting older.
But the music lives on though.
That's exactly it. And, you know, that's what's really cool to see, having, you know, playing in bands like Foster Pussycat with Richie Ramone, rosetattoo, seeing firsthand the generational crossover in the audiences.
Yeah.
Like it's all ages. And from people that are there, like I saw them on their first tour, to now their kids or their grandkids.
Yeah.
And to see that the power of rock and roll and the power of this music, that it can transcend generations and transcend time in that way, it really goes to show just how good it really is.
Yeah.
And important it is too.
And Australian rock as well.
100%. Like, you know, that's something I definitely learned in the States. It's like we're known around the world for making really good music. Like in the States, you know, it's like AC/DC, In Excess, rosetattoo. They call the Angels Angel City, but you know, like you name it. It's like we've got the Divinals. We've got this reputation for making really tough, no bullshit music, and I'm really proud of that.
Yeah.
And it's like to be a part of it, you know, especially in a band like rosetattoo that's, you know, basically my favorite band. It really means a lot to me, and it's so much fun. We got a lot of tour dates next year, starting off in January. So I'm looking forward to firing the Marshall up and getting at it.
Hell yeah. Sounds great. I remember the first time I listened to rosetattoo. I was a very young kid, and my dad would always play Rage.
Yeah.
And on the weekends.
Yeah, Saturday Night Rage was like a tradition. You know, you midnight, and then it's like who's guest hosting. Like,
yeah. I remember. Was it Bad Boys for Blood.
Yeah, Bad Boy for Love.
Yeah.
I remember, I think it was Fat Mike from NoFX hosted Midnight Rage.
Yeah.
This would have been 2001 or 2.
Yeah.
And me and a couple of my buddies, our little circle of like, we love punk rock and stuff. And every Saturday we get together, and his curated list was amazing. Like and Bad Boy for Love was one of it. And I back when you had VHS, like I remember I taped it onto VHS. There was Bad Boy for Love, AC/DC Jailbreak video, like Motley Crue Live Wire, Joan Jett, Bad Reputation. It was kind of like the blueprint for all the music I still listen to and love today.
Yeah,
and I
same.
had it on this VHS. I would have been barely 13 years old, and I got to go dig through the boxes in my parents' garage to see if it still exists somewhere, because that tape was like, I played that thing to death. But that was the first time I had a copy. I had a hard copy of the Bad Boy for Love video.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
I remember that, man. My dad kept playing it. If my dad was here in this room when you're here, he'll fucking love you. Because he's a big Rose Tattoo fan.
Fuck,
he fucking loves him. So and he loves AC/DC, but it's so funny. He goes, I prefer Bon Scott, man. He always says that to me. He goes, I prefer Bon Scott over Brian Johnson.
Yeah, they're both great singers, but there's definitely a magic about that, original, like the first like AC/DC TNT Australian release.
Yeah.
Like, because in the States, the record label did that thing of like, they took High Voltage and TNT and banged them together into one. And that became High Voltage. They didn't have TNT in the States. When I've shown them the record with like, the wood with TNT on it, they didn't get that there. That was Australia only. It's like they didn't get School Days as a cover.
Yeah, right.
So, but that CD, like I was in 7th grade, like I have vivid memories of sitting there with my Discman and just having that on repeat while the teacher was just like, Simmons, pay attention, and me being like, yeah.
As you do.
I'm doing my own homework right now. But there's a magic about those Bon albums that's just, you can't put your finger on it. Like it really is magic.
Yeah, and I was doing some research because my buddy Zach from Pennsylvania, he runs a gym and a clothing brand called Def Comes Lifting.
Right.
And he loves AC/DC.
Yeah.
So I was sending him all these like informations and shit, and apparently, it was like maybe in the early 70s, maybe, or whatever. They actually played in Wollongong.
Yeah.
On the 10th of December on my birthday. Well, I wasn't born then. I was born in 85. But they played at I think it was like a Wollongong Town Hall maybe back then. Like there was a lot of big bands that are big now, but that weren't big like.
Well, a lot of
them all played here.
Yeah, well, because Mark Evans, that was in that lineup of AC/DC, was in Rose Tattoo with me. Like, we're still good mates. But we on the road, we'd spend a lot of time hanging out. And when he'd tell me stories about back in those days, a lot of bands, they'd play high schools.
Yeah.
That, like when they were starting out, like, and the Australian live circuit then was very different to how it is now. So it would have been very cool to experience. But yeah.
Yeah, man. So you're a Gibson player?
Yes,
Have always been a Gibson player?
I've had other guitars over the years, but I've been with Gibson as a member of the family since 2008.
So have you got you planning on doing like a signature model?
If the opportunity arose, I wouldn't say no to it.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if that's on the cards yet. But I've been a Gibson guy a long time. Yeah, and they're my favorite. Like, I love the way they feel. I love the way they sound. I love the way they play.
Yeah,
it's just it's the sound.
Yeah. It's like true classic rock guitar, but then there are like hardcore metal players play Gibsons too.
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, because it's, as far as like in the studio, because I got a bunch of them. The Sunburst. The 59 reissue Sunburst I have that I use live with the Tats, like that's become my number one in the studio as well for that reason. It's that fat sound.
Yeah.
Like you just hit an open A chord and it's like, I don't think you could like make it any bigger. Like it just fills that, that frequency.
So yeah, like Gibsons and Fenders to me are always going to be two of my favorite.
Oh yeah, and Fender, it just depends on what style you're playing. They're great, It's it's the same as motorcycles. People are like, do you like Triumph or Harley? It's like, well, I always rode Triumph because I love them. But it's like, I've ridden plenty of Harleys too. Like a good bike's a good bike, just like a good guitar's a good guitar. You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Out of all the out of all the art like bands and that you played in, which ones are you the most proud of being in?
Rosetattoo, Faster Pussycat, Richie Ramone, the Redback Spiders, and I'd probably say the Skanks, like my first band. Like, you know, I look back on that very, very fondly. That was a, you know, I didn't come close to achieving any of the things that I went on to do, but that was a really special time in my life. Like, you know, when everything was new.
Yeah.
Like, you know, being very green and, you know, being a teenager and, you know, 15 years old at the pub surrounded by 20-year-olds and older. Like, it was a really magical time. And I try and remind myself of that all the time when I'm doing things now as like a, you know, look at how far you've come. But you definitely, like, being a member of, like a patch member of Rose Tattoo really, really means the world to me.
Yeah.
And having worked with Richie Ramone, like, you've seen the tattoo on my back.
Yeah,
like, you know,
that's
the Ramones influenced me more than I can put into words. And to have him, you know, we were on the road one day on a plane on the way to Brazil. He goes like, "Hey man, like all the fans keep asking if you're my kid," and I was like, and I was like, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Well, you're not my kid. You're my brother," and that meant the world to me.
That's awesome, and still to have that connection with you.
Yeah, and you know, and we keep in touch, and same with Faster Pussycat, like Tammy, Danny, Chad, like Sam Bam, like it's a great environment, and it was, you know, the future's unwritten, you know, like, you know, never say never for what might happen down the track, but I'm proud of all of it. And, you know, it sounds kind of corny and cliche, but it's like the posters that were on my wall when I was a, you know, teenager starting out are now my friends.
That's
as well as my bandmates, but they're, you know, we're mates. And that's I'm really proud of that.
Yeah. Well, every time when I've had a guest on here, like yourself now, but like Chuck, Calico, I had the drummer on Trent that plays for Beasto.
Oh yeah.
On here, I was like his first interviewer.
Oh, cool.
And Sam Bam and stuff, like they're like my friends now because
Yeah.
like I had them on just to interview them, but then like you learn so much from them.
Yeah, and you get along, and it's one of those things that, you know, you form a connection and then keep in touch. It's you know, it's the way it should be, because at the end of the day, like, that's how we all got into it. Like everyone that's up on a stage at one point in time was a fan and was inspired to pursue this journey. So it's like, it's that love of rock and roll that, you know, drives us and brings us together. It is a community. Like, people talk about that, like, you know, things aren't the way they used to be. Like, yeah, well, the world's changed. Like, you know, the top 40 on the radio doesn't define the cultural, like, pop culture as much as it did, say, 20 years ago. Like, now everyone's in silos, and with streaming, and you can kind of pick and choose what little bubble you want to live in. So things have changed. But as frustrating as it is that, you know, rock isn't the big dog anymore,
you just got to look for it.
That's exactly the point I'm getting at. It's formed a community where the people that are into it because they love it, and you stick together. And the more I've traveled the world, the more you realize, like, the circle just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Everyone really does know each other.
Yeah.
We're all connected in some way, shape, or form. And that's really cool.
Yeah, man.
That's really, really cool.
I kind of see it. It's like, it's a small world. It's exactly the same thing like in the hospitality industry, bro.
Yeah. or any industry, any business. Like, the amount of people because I talk to people that, you know, aren't in the music industry, and they always have questions about it. And I could be talking about exactly what we are. And, you know, I'll say, in the music, and they're like, "Ronnie, that's any industry." Yeah. I'm like, well, I haven't worked in that industry. I don't know. But it's from what I gather, it's, you know, that's just what the world is like. But there's something unique about the like rock and roll and rock fans. It's like, you know, it's a real, there's a connection there. It's like if you're walking down the street and you see someone else in, like, you know, like a Ramone shirt or a Kiss shirt, it's like, you know.
It always is like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, Ronnie.
Yes.
Since this is a music and horror podcast, because the name Ghouls Gone Wild, I got it from an Alice Cooper track.
Right on.
He hasn't sued me yet, so Which I'll be perfectly fine if Alice Cooper sued me for that. But you like horror movies?
Some. I'm
Some?
more of a science fiction guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really into like Alien, for example. I think
Yes.
that counts as both.
Yeah.
And
it
like
does,
when
yeah.
people ask what's your favorite horror film, I'd probably say Alien, just
Yeah.
because. But I'm a real sci-fi nut. But having said that, I don't dislike it. It's just,
Yeah.
sci-fi is kind of my thing.
You can also put it in the back of the bus.
Yeah.
Just have it playing or something like
Well,
that.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Alien is great, man. The new one is fantastic.
I haven't seen the new one yet.
So the new one is sort of like a prequel.
Right,
Prequel sequel to the first and second one.
Gotcha.
So there's like a weird timeline. So I think it's Prometheus, Covenant, then Alien 1, then the new one,
Yep.
and Alien 2, 3, and then
Gotcha.
so on.
Yeah.
So the timeline's all over the spot. But me and a mate went and watched it, and on the ride back, he was just like explaining it to me. How it all blends in. Because I've never seen like any of them apart from the Aliens versus Predator ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, one like especially like number 2, Aliens.
Hmm.
Like that's more of an action film than like Aliens more of a horror film.
Yeah.
Aliens is more of an action film, but
the third one went downhill.
Yeah, the third, man, not big Alien 3, but I remember like the first time I saw Aliens just being like, whoa, it's very like, dare I say, a sequel is better than the first one.
Yeah.
But then again, Alien, like I said, Aliens is more action, whereas Alien is more horror sci-fi.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were the first two. I love those.
Yeah. No, you have to check out the new one, bro.
Yeah, no,
definitely a dig.
All right, I'll add that to the list.
Okay, final question.
Yep.
Top 5 guitar players.
Angus and Malcolm Young.
Yep. The Young Brothers.
Yep. Mick Cox from Rosetattoo, Ace Frehley, and then number 1, Marty McFly.
Oh yeah, that counts because I remember that too from Back to the Future.
Yeah.
When I was a young kid too, man. I thought that was fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, that changed my life.
I think it changed everybody's young kid's life.
Yeah. It's really funny when I say that to some people. They're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Watch the scene again and then watch footage of me on stage." And they're like, "Oh fuck."
Well,
I'm like, "Yeah."
Or then it's either Crossroads.
Yeah.
A lot of guitar players will say Crossroads is the one that changed their lives to be a guitar player.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it comes, Chuck Berry, Johnny B. Good. Like that's the power of,
that's where Ryan,
rock and roll.
That's where Ryan got the duck thing. That thing that Chuck Berry does.
Yeah.
The duck walk, sorry.
Yeah, the duck walk. Yeah. Angus would do it too.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just, incredible. And picking just 5 is very hard.
It is hard.
Like, I could do like a top 50, but we'll be here for a while.
Yeah, to like next year.
Yeah.
Want to hear my top 5?
Yeah, of course.
Right. Ace Frehley is one of them.
Yep.
Jimmy Page,
nice.
Obviously.
Yep.
I'll go for some of the newer guitar players out there. Ace Von Johnson.
Oh yeah.
I said that to him and goes, dude, that I shouldn't be on your list.
Ace is a great player. Ace is a great player.
Ace is a great player.
Hi, Ace.
Yeah. Love you, Ace. Gotta have you back on for the third time. Let's see, now it gets hard. John 5.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. I saw him with Steel Panther.
Yeah, he's a great player. I saw him with the Crew when they came out. Yeah.
Fucking amazing. That dude can play anything. And number 5 is always going to be a hard one, but Ryan Roxie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ryan's great, man.
And I remember discovering Ryan in the Cabo Wabo CD.
Yep.
I remember my dad picking me up from primary school, and he had that playing. And every time when I pick up a CD, I like to look at the notes.
Yeah, it's all part of it, man.
I always wondering who's playing, who's this guy. I think I might like him. And then Ryan Roxie turned up. And I'm like, fuck, okay. And that's how I discovered Rob Zombie, because White Zombie was in the Cabo Wabo album doing Feed My Frankenstein. And that's how I became a fan of Rob Zombie. But and then I think it was the Live in Montreal DVD. I had like Ryan Roxie and Chuck Garrick and Adam. I'll be like air guitaring like Ryan Roxy in the lounge room
Yeah.
and trying to be like him and shit like that. So
Well,
he's been my idol.
It's
for,
funny
a
you
long
mention
time.
that. The first time I saw Alice Cooper, like I was, me and my high school girlfriend went in like 2005, I want to say, at the Enmore Theatre, and Ryan was on guitar, and I would have been like fucking barely 16, and I was just like, I want to be that guy.
Yeah.
And I told him that when I toured with him 10 years ago, and it was just like, dude, like I love what you do. It was actually when I was a teenager, really, really affected me, and it was kind of like, thanks, but also like, dude, just hang out and be cool, man. I was like, no, I'm just saying, man.
Yeah.
And now we're good mates. Like, I've given him one of the Mostronics pedals when they came out, and we keep in touch.
Cool.
Like, again, that's very grateful and proud that people I've looked up to over the years are now my friends, and we communicate on an even plane. Like that respect means the world to me.
Yeah.
And he's a great fucking player. He's
amazing.
And writer. His solo records are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I really, really dig, all of the Alice Cooper, like, Beasto Blanco, Tommy's stuff now with Crossbone Scully, and Ryan's stuff and Nita's stuff. Like it's just fucking good music, man.
Yeah. Ryan knows who I am because I covered his songs from the Peace, Love, and Armageddon.
Right.
And some of his parts on Alice Cooper and stuff like that. I remember meeting him at the Motley Crue tour. They were doing how he does the parking lot thing?
Yeah.
Ran into Nita, got a photo with her, then I ran into Ryan. He was like, what's going on, man? And normally, like, I kind of learned from meet and greets is not the fanboy.
Yeah, just like I said, like, don't be weird, don't be a dick.
Yeah, I kind of fanboyed out a little bit, then I just like settled down.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with John 5 when John 5 toured with Steel Panther recently.
Yeah.
I met John 5. This is my second time meeting John 5, but then I'm like, I got this. I was like the second person in line. I got this. I'm just like stuttering. I'm like, what's going on, dude?
But that's gonna, that's gonna happen sometimes. Like, it's interesting how that can happen. Like, you're like, and then you meet the person that's, and then you're like, oh, like
everyone's looking at you.
Yeah, but you're human, and I try to keep that in mind whenever I'm, talking to someone I've just met that's, might be a bit like that. And when you're on the road, it's tough, especially, you haven't eaten in a while, you haven't slept in a while, or, it's been a stressful day. I always try and keep that in mind when approaching other people too, like,
Yeah.
But also, yeah, man, it's at the end of the day, we're, all those people.
Well, dude, thank you for actually coming to my place.
No worries, man.
You're like my first guest.
Cool.
Doing this at my apartment, man.
Number one.
I had a recording earlier. They're a band called Ride. They're from New York.
Oh, yeah.
And I had like all of their band members all at once on this stream.
Oh, really? So it's like all the little windows, like the Brady Bunch?
Yeah. And it was just like, well, dude, this is like the first time like I've ever done this, man. This is fucking awesome.
Yeah. Right.
But I have to get like the full band here.
Well, yeah, that's it. Well, that's not a bad idea. For like when part 2 comes out, maybe I'll get like the whole of the Redback Spiders down here, and we'll fit everyone on the couch.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we can fit like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, so maybe like sit up the top. Or,
here and shit like that. I'll be happy to cater for you because I'm a chef. So
you're too kind, man. Thank you.
But guys, and you got some up and coming tour dates coming up soon?
Yes. Well, I got Bendigo at the Golden Vine this Friday, the 29th, Cherry Bar the 30th, December 14th, the final show of the Redback Spiders 2024 Australian Bike Tour at the Factory Floor in Marrickville, Sydney. And then go to rosetattoo.com.au for all of the Rose Tattoo tour dates starting off in January next year. 2025 and 2026 are going to be a big year for Rose Tattoo. So
make sure you go and check it out, guys.
Check it out. And to everyone that's been, spinning the new Redback Spiders record, thank you. There's another one coming. There'll be a full LP experience with bonus tracks mid next year. But just, the more you share it, the more people you show it to, the more, the more the word gets out there. And the Not Here to Fuck Spiders shirts will be online soon. Yes. Right now, they're only available at shows on the tour. But, if people want them bad enough, I'll get some more made.
Yeah. And one more thing, dude. Yep. I know you played Madison Square Garden. What was that like?
That was wild. That was actually a really wild time.
Were you nervous?
Not any more or less than any other gig on that tour, to be honest. Like, I know it's kind of an underwhelming response, but we were doing like these arenas and stadiums every single night. So by the time we got to Manhattan, New York City, we were all, there was a buzz around like, oh, we're playing the Garden. And I thought it was fascinating, when you pull down 42nd Street and they have their own crew, like Madison Square Garden have their own union.
Oh, shit.
Like they have their own roadies. It was like very strict, like don't touch any of your gear. They have people here to do it. And I was like, can I just grab my guitar? They're like, no, there's rules here. Like, you have to get them to do it for you. And I was like,
okay,
all right, whatever, man. But it was really, really cool. It was a cool time. The crowd was amazing. Like Alice Cooper and both Motley Crue were great.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really proud I did it. Like,
you can tick that off the list.
Yeah, like a friend of mine surprised me by sending me a bouquet of roses.
Nice.
So there's a photo of me somewhere at Times Square. I got a bouquet of roses and a giant slice of pizza, and it was like, I'm about to go play Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
But that was a really, really cool time. And then basically got no sleep and had to do breakfast television on NBC the next morning at like 5:30 in the morning. So I remember sitting in the tour bus, like just played and just being like, whoa, I'm so full of adrenaline. But also I'm going to be on camera in like an hour and a half. So I just left my stage clothes on and lay in my bunk on the tour bus and was like, I'm not even going to change. There's no point.
Yeah.
And then played a show again that night in Syracuse up in New York. So it was that was very just bang, bang, bang. And I love that. And I'm really grateful I got to do it. That was really cool.
No, it's a dream come true. Or any artist's dream come true, really. Yeah. That's going to be wild as shit. But Ben, yeah, I'm gonna have you back on. Bring back the band. I gotta talk about your tattoos one day.
We'll be here a while.
Yeah. I got a few as well.
Yeah, nice. Oh, right on. Alice Cooper.
Yeah, man. Alice is the man, dude. He's the guy that got me into horror. Like, guys.
Yeah. Oh, he's a big influence on my singing style. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But guys, my name's Adam Gorak on behalf of my Stay Puft tattoo, which I've got here, by the way. I love the Ghostbusters.
Me too.
Yeah, that's why I got Stay Puft.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks pretty angry.
Cool.
But Ronnie, thank you so much. Make sure to follow his band, the Redback Spiders, on all social media. Make sure to go and check out the EP. Go check him out on tour wherever you are around Australia, and hopefully see the Redback Spiders in Wollongong.
Yeah, no, we definitely want to come down. We want to, stay tuned. There's more coming.
Yes.
Not here to fuck spiders.
No. Because they will fuck with you. Anyways, man. Ronnie.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you, bro.
Cheers.
Till next time, guys. Be kind to each other and stay spooky, motherfuckers. Peace out.